What's going on? What's going on? I guess it looks like we know what Canelo's doing as it pertains to his career now, in the short term anyway. Um, One of the things I've been saying in some of my previous videos is that the next move that he makes after he fights Smith will pretty much let us understand and know what direction he's going to. With it, if he's going to be trying to bang up with the big dogs, the top guys in the division, like a Caleb Plant, like a Benavidez, or if he's going to take the same type of route that he did when he was with Oscar De La Hoya, just with that middleman kind of being put out to the side and him being put into a space where he gets most of the revenue from his fights, but still pretty much doing the same moves, but him doing it. And it looks as if that's pretty much what he's going to be doing. He's not going to be signing with PBC. I guess his next fight's supposed to be, they already said it's going to be in February, and it's going to be in Mexico, and it's going to be against the Yildirim guy. The guy that's supposed to be the WBC mandatory, I guess. Also, his sparring partner. Like, this is basically the guy that he uses for sparring partner, as a sparring partner a lot. Utilizes him for that. And I guess it's a fight where the zone's going to pay him, I guess they're going to probably pay him $20+ million to fight this guy. For whatever reason, And I think he probably was thinking about signing with PBC. But once Eddie Hearn, I think Eddie Hearn kind of came over there, was like, yo, what I'm saying? I have guys, I'm sure he mentioned everybody in the stable except Demetrius Andres. And he was saying, hey, you know what I mean? The zone still want to be paying you $20+ million per fight for him. You might as well just do that. And even though he could get paid more money, I guess you could say, against a Benavidez, against a Caleb Plant, the risk is high. It's very, very high. So I think he's seeing it as a situation where I'm getting paid $20 million. With the cut that Golden Boy was taken out of his purses, he's probably making the same amount of money now that he was before. Just due to the fact that Golden Boy is not taking probably that 30+%. Because we do know that, through when they sued Al Heyman, that it was something crazy, like 97% of the fund, 93% or something like that, of the funds that Golden Boy got to run their company were through Canelo Alvarez events. So if he can put himself into a space where not only he's making the funds off the zone, but he's also making the gates and everything like that, depending on how he has a structure with Eddie Hearn, if he's getting most of the bigger, most of that as well, then he's coming out substantially well. He'll be coming out substantial financially while taking very low risks. So I guess that's the route that he's taking. I personally believe that he's probably gonna fight 3 times next year. I think him fighting so quickly and so fast in February is kind of like a makeup for 2020. I think that's pretty much what it's kind of like a makeup for that, because it's kind of like how he usually has 2 fights in a year. That's gonna kind of be a makeup for that. And I think what he's gonna do for the rest of the year is, I think he's gonna have 2 other fights. I think this year is probably gonna be the first. It's gonna be probably the first time in a long time where he actually fights 3 times in 1 year. I think he's gonna do the Yildirim fight, which he's gonna destroy Will Yildirim. It's gonna be. We'll see how long he. It's not even a question of. It's a question of how long is it gonna take before he gets knocked out. That's pretty much what it's gonna be. And then after the fight with Yildirim, I believe he's probably gonna fight. He will have Billy Joe Saunders, and he'll have Gennady Golovkin available, because I believe he's gonna fight those 2 guys too next year. And I'm not sure which one is gonna be. I'm not sure if it's gonna be Gennady Golovkin first, or if it's gonna be Gennady Golovkin later. But looking at the performance that Gennady Golovkin just had, and how horrible he looked, and how he was looking exhausted and gassed after the 4th round, I'm thinking he might just do that next. And Gennady Golovkin would have to come up in weight to 168 pounds, and he would fight Gennady Golovkin. Then after that, he would probably do a unification with Billy Joe Saunders later on. One of those 2. Now, as far as him saying that he wants to be undisputed and all of this, I don't believe that. I'm not gonna, at this point with the moves that he's making, I don't believe that's not necessarily a goal of his. Just due to the fact that I had to be reminded that he said the same things at 160 pounds. That he wanted to be undisputed at 160 pounds, that there's never been any Mexican that was undisputed at 160 pounds, and he wanted to be the first. And that would have been a big accomplishment for him. But when he had all those three belts, and Demetrius Andres had the other belt, and both fighters at the zone where he could have become undisputed, he didn't do it. He said, "Now I'm good." He didn't do it. He said no. And let the IBF belt go. Never pursued the Demetrius Andres fight, moved up in weight, and did other things. And I believe when it comes to the 168 pound division, it's going to be the same thing. He didn't have to fight Benavidez for that WBC belt. He was able to get it with it being vacant, and now he's being able to fight a super low tier opponent as his quote mandatory. And then after that, he's going to go on to this other guy, Billy Joe Saunders, who hasn't looked good either. Billy Joe Saunders is not someone that would be favored against Caleb Plant. It's more of a question, when exactly would he get stopped? He wouldn't be favored against Benavidez. It pretty much same situation. Which round are you getting stopped? It'd be that type of situation when it comes to him. So that's the route it's going to take. And after he gets those three belts, he might just stay with the zone. He might stay with the, depending if they're still willing to pay him 20 plus million per fight. I think he'll stay with the zone. If they're not willing to pay him those types of funds, then he might look at, other routes that he can take. As far as other fights that people are also thinking about happening, like a him versus Earl Spence, not happening. He's not coming back down to 160 pounds. He's going to stay at 168 pounds and higher. That's it. Especially with this whole thing that he's going to be doing, he will have been away from 160 pounds for over 2 years at that point, if not longer. So it's not going to happen. He's not going to shrink down to that low weight. So any kind of talk about those two fighting is all cap. Period. It's all bullish. Don't believe none of it. Earl Spence might as well take his mind and focus on other things, because that's all it was. It was just talk. And it's not going to happen at all. Period. Caleb Plant, not going to happen. Benavidez, I don't see it happening at all. Now if the zone's not willing to pay him those type of funds, then he might move into another direction. But other directions involve him having to face certain guys that I'm not sure if he necessarily wants to face right now. So, but we'll see what the future holds. We'll see what he's going to do. But as far as next year is concerned, it's one of those situations where it's like, he's going to have some fights, but it's not necessarily going to be the fights that we want to see. Kind of like Terence Crawford. He's going to have a year like that too. But anyway, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.